see Mashilo, who is not well. In this regard, to present the reports on behalf of the executive. They have also extended invitation to the CCMA to respond to matters that are related to their mandate. As the legislature have also ensured some members of the Select Committee on Public Participation are present, so that the necessary follow-ups could be made with the various departments. This we undertake to bring the legislature much closer to our people. We therefore value all the inputs and constructive engagements made by representatives of different federations. These contributions strengthen and sharpen our capacity and ability to respond to the pressing challenges that affect workers and the poor. We are confronted with the expectations of our workers, which is the unwavering pursuit of the unfinished project of building workers' power in the state and all other sections of society. We are quite aware of the growing impatience amongst the workers and the youth in relation to the opportunities for growth and development. At the center of our oversight agenda and political imperatives is to gradually dismantle the colonial legacy that set the scene of post-apartheid South Africa as the most unequal economy in the world, which in effect enriched a minority by holding down economic opportunities and incomes for the majority. Also, following the end of formal apartheid, we have seen the phenomenon of the reproduction of inequality. This is an outcome of the persistence of a highly concentrated economic power, reinforced by continued inequalities in education, geographical location, infrastructure, and work organization. That whilst the democratic state introduced reforms, it hasn't gone enough to bring about change and transformation in inequality. To do so will also require the renewal of our democratic institutions and the strengthening of the capabilities of our administrative organs. It also calls for a comprehensive attack on mediocrity in service delivery and maladministration. To this end, our oversight agenda should principally understand that the necessary and sufficient condition for a better society is the collective ownership and democratic control of the chief instrument of production. Our economic institutions are inherited and therefore historical and not natural. They can be changed through the political unity, organization, and will of the broader section of oppressed men and women of our nation. To this end, we must struggle to build a new politics that speaks to our people rather than simply for our people. This is a politics of self-representation through which our very idea of participatory democracy should be underwritten. We must reinscribe a politics of existence in which ethics, moral conduct, and humanity become the mainstay. We thus call for a more responsive, capable, and rigorous roundtable engagement in order we redirect our energies towards building a more just and equal society. Program Director, as I conclude, the organized working class remains the primary motive force for social transformation. We are therefore expected to positively seek solutions to our pressing challenges. We therefore look forward to your inputs and the resolutions of this important session. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for that introduction, welcoming address, as well as the purpose of the engagement. Item 4 on our program is the report on the implementation of previous Workers' Parliament resolutions. We will be guided by the House if our members, our attendees require more time to go through the reports that was given to them today. Or can we allow the MEC to lead us and take us through each departmental report? Yes.
No. Thanks a lot, Chairperson. Maybe ideally, as you've already indicated, the ideal situation would have been for us to be provided with a report first so that we interact with it at its best quality, so that as and when it is being led before us, we're in a position to make meaningful inputs. Because as you would have understood, Chairperson, and as you would have registered in earlier meetings, we take very seriously the convening of this parliament, the deliberations and resolutions thereof. So for us, it would have been of quality time to first and foremost interact with the reports. But we also want to indicate that now that we are already here, maybe we'll allow you to attempt to read and see how far we go, because we want to check the quality of it, because we do not want to come here and do what we've been doing over the past years, that of seeming to be ticking boxes. We just wanted to indicate that in an ideal situation, we ought to be afforded time, space, and opportunity to look at the report very in-depthly. Thanks, Chair.
That concern has been raised in our briefing as well, to say that perhaps in the next meeting, such reports must be afforded, must be given in time to allow processes of going through it ourselves as well, so that when we come here, we have a proper mindset of what the issues are at hand that we have to deal with. But be that as it may, let me allow the MEC to give us a highlight of the...
Give the other members. There were two hands.
There's two hands?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me take the other hand. My apologies, I did not notice.
I think you just alluded to us to say it was an oversight, but then going forward, I think it will be proper for you or the Parliament to give us time to go through this, and we'll have a meaningful engagement. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you can also come in.
No, I wanted to second what the learned colleagues was saying about us having time. Thank you.
If we can maybe stand down for 15 minutes and start again at 10:30, so that we can all come here knowing that the documents before us. Yes, Chair.
Sorry, Chair, if you can give us maybe 30 minutes, 15 minutes, no, it's not enough for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, 30 minutes is in order then. Then we will come back at 11:15. House stands adjourned. Thank you. No, thank you once again. I think if we can be given guidance from the floor in terms of the report that you've went through, how best do we take it from here?
No. Thanks once again, Chairperson, especially for the time afforded to us to put our heads together in trying to find out as to how we approach this process moving forward. Now, Chairperson, consistent with our earlier indication that we take this Parliament very serious, the deliberations thereof leading up to the resolutions and the implementation thereof. So we want to indicate, Chairperson, that while we welcome the reports presented to ourselves, we are of the firm view that for us to do good justice to it and the constituencies we represent on the ground, we are of the view that let us be afforded time to go back to our different constituencies in their diversity, to interrogate, talk to this report for all it's worth, so that as and when we make inputs, but we are certain that the input is not only representative of the different population, but it is true and meaningful, and also gives good meaning to the process. So we are of that view. Let's have yourselves allow us the space, time, and opportunity to go back and communicate with each other as to when would be the ideal date for us to come back here and make our inputs. But as we do that, we want to also emphasize that we won't have any problem with affording yourselves the opportunity and space to run over the report for noting and make emphasis where you want, so that as and when we leave with the report here, but you are empowered, we know what exactly you feel strongly about, so that as and when we prepare our responses ourselves, we are more empowered. We are not going to rob you that opportunity to read the report for noting purposes only, not to indicate that you are going to talk to it, no. Even then, we are only saying we can only afford you the time to make the noting and emphasis, because we don't want to waste this time, because now that we are here already, if there's something for yourself to say, let it be said. But the other observation we want to register, Chairperson, is that we have a negative observation to register. The observation is that your team seems like it is besotted with an unfortunate history of ill-preparedness. And this history of ill-preparedness itself borders around undermining the offices or rather the entities of the federations. We have been battling, for instance, to get communications with the incumbent of the office of the Speaker. If we are lucky, we're in a position to get hold of the officials, and when the talks get deeper and or hot, the indication is that they may not have the enough authority to assist us. That has been a problem for us for prolonged periods. But secondly, Chairperson, we also want to indicate that what we witnessed the last time around we were here spoke to a high degree of ill-preparedness and disrespect. At some point in time, we had an officer, or in fact a politician, reading from his phone what ought to have been a formal report presented to us. To us, it didn't sit well. So we thought, Chairperson, it would be very fair of us to indicate that to yourselves here and now, so that as and when we come back here for the formal sitting, you are prepared, so that all of us give meaningful respect to this engagement. That is what we wanted to say. But I understand there may be something that other members would want to add, Chairperson, but in essence, that's what we wanted to indicate to yourselves. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I note? Chair, you can come in.
No, thanks, Chair. Just to add on what the Provincial Deputy Chairperson alluded to on behalf of the federations, but surely other comrades can still add as indicated. Chair, as federation, we all agreed that the office of the Speaker and this Parliament have been given a task to do an oversight in the administration of the province. And we've vowed and we've made an undertaking that that responsibility tasked with the office of the Speaker can't fail whilst we are still here as federations. And where there are such attempts, we'll work with the office to make sure that those things happen. But as we do that, just like what the chair had said, can we get officials that have got powers, authority, to take decisions if they are to engage with the federations? Because it becomes very dangerous, Chair, that you'll sit in the meeting with the officials, and as you start to engage, you are now then being told that we are not empowered. Then all the engagement, the time, the finances of the trade unions becomes fruitless, because you'll end up empty-handed and you go back to your own constituents with no response, because those that are tasked to engage with us seem not to have powers to take decisions. I think the plea that we want to have and communicate is that can we have people that can take decisions if they are to engage with the federation? The other part, Chair, like just the chair had said, we are individual federations. We are leading different structures. We equally deserve the same respect that the Executive Council, including the Speaker, is given by the officials, as when we engage with us. When either the provincial chair of any federation or the provincial secretary is engaging with the official, can they treat them just like how they treat the Speaker or MEC? Because the manner in which when they engage with us, the level of preparedness leaves much to be desired. And for us to make sure that we make meaningful contributions as one we engage here, I think that must be what must be observed by all of us, Chair, so that in future when we are engaging, we know exactly what we will need to do. It was a painful exercise or an observation that we've made in the last Workers' Parliament, where the delegates from different federations rejected T-shirts because of the unpreparedness of the officials. I thought at some point, Chair, amongst the leadership here, we're going to reflect on that. Because it was just unfortunate that those things will happen in the presence of this leadership. But that was the last things that workers will do if they are not being attended to in terms of their issues. We are saying this, Chair, so that these things must not repeat themselves. And this is the only opportunity that we might have, that we've got such high-level delegation that is engaging with high-level delegation from the different federations. We might not have enough time. We might not have another time. But in an event that, Chair, we get the same attitude, the same treatment, we'll be brutal in our response, but shall we engage with the authority, especially the Speaker herself, so that these things are raised sharply, because we can't be postponing the workers that, the rights of the workers that they fought so hard. Not to have a workers' parliament this year, all of us must be worried that we didn't have it because of how poorly we prepare for such. It was not deliberate. We're not undermining the opportunity created, which all of us were agreeing is a good opportunity, including the today's engagement. We are appreciating it. But we are saying we've reached a point where things that can be done to others must also not be done to the trade unions, Chair. I think that's what I wanted just to add, Chair, on over and above what the latter speaker was saying, Chair. Thank you very much.
Are there any other hands? Yes, you can come in.
Use my shop steward voice. Okay. Thank you very much. Chair, with the agreement in all the federations, we have noted a number of issues that we've been raising even from the beginning, but those issues are perpetually being committed. I think the province itself, especially the legislature, they are called provincial executives, which equally even in our own respect, we are provincial executives. I think the respect needs to be made sure that it comes to the point where all of us, we've got a mutual respect, because you can't be expecting me to respect you if you don't respect me, especially if we're in the same level as different from our own respect. So with that, we are saying that can we, in future, as executives as well, to have a direct access to the executives? Thank you.
Is there any input from CCMA?
Thank you. The CCMA is very honored to be here today. We thank you. This report is news to us, unfortunately. So for us to prepare a comprehensive response, like my learned colleagues and everyone else, we would need some time to drive down, because neither of us were at the previous Workers' Parliament, and I'm not even sure who from the CCMA, if anyone, was at the last Workers' Parliament session. Ideally, what we would like to do is form a task team with one another so that we can address you. We all represent different aspects of workers. You know, if you have to take the workers as the diamond, a multifaceted diamond, we all represent different facets, and we would love to provide you with a meaningful and thorough response. So, you know, if we can go through the report today, note that you've gone through it, and then come back with a meaningful response, we would really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any response from Department of Labor?
Thank you, Chairperson. From Employment and Labor, we are also being disadvantaged in the sense that we just got a report recently. I'm not sure whether today or yesterday. We need to be afforded an opportunity to go through the report and make inputs. I agree with my colleagues that maybe we should allow the chair to go through the report for noting, and in the next meeting we'll come back here being prepared so that we are also contributing to the making sure that the vulnerable workers and transformation of the labor market is being achieved. Thank you, Chairperson.
Now, the concerns have been noted. I think let me afford the Honourable Speaker to also come in and perhaps comment to those inputs that was raised.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for the opportunity. We note the issues raised by all the federations, and as the legislature, we are creating this platform so that we engage with you on behalf of your good selves. We hold the executive accountable. And as the legislature will introduce a tracking resolution system so that all the resolutions which are taken, whether from sector parliaments, whether from the sitting of the House, we check whether the departments are able to account on those resolutions. And we'll have a feedback session. We'll agree with you to go back and consult your various constituencies. Then we'll have another session whereby we'll engage to get feedback from your good selves, and also the member of the Executive Council, which is here, will also take the report back to the executive that they must take these matters very, very serious, because they have to account to the legislature and also to the stakeholders on government commitments. Hopefully, we'll also raise this matter with the Premier and also the leader of government business, because if we're not raising these issues, this will collapse all the sectors, because they're the ones who must come and account. And we are creating this platform for your good selves to come here and involve you in the programs of government. Hopefully, our next feedback session will be fruitful and make sure that we are prepared. And also these reports will go to the select committee. Also, they must have a bite on those reports. The challenge which we also have as the legislature is that we also get the reports very late. But hopefully from now, we'll correct with the executive to say those reports must come in time, so that everyone, when he or she comes to this round table, must have read the reports and have a meaningful contributions. With those few words, Chair, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think the Honorable Speaker has given direction. Myself, as the chairperson, I cannot say anything more once the Speaker has spoke. But indeed, I'm happy that the Speaker has informed this House that ourselves, as the as the Select Committee as well, it's a matter of us receiving reports very late as well, which puts us in a very bad position where we can't go through the report ourselves and come and have a meaningful deliberation on it. But indeed, it's something that needs to be urgently corrected. And I think that the Office of the Speaker will also, through this select committee as well, afford an opportunity for a feedback session which will be communicated with the Federation. We must apologize. We did not foresee such circumstances, and it's not a circumstance that we deliberately put ourselves in. However, on the basis of the situation that was created for us, we would appreciate, or we appreciate the manner in which the Federation has conducted the outcome of today's engagement. I think for us is to ensure that such feedback session is duly communicated with the Federation, with the CCMA and the Department of Labor in time, so that we know the next engagement that we have, it would not place everybody in a position to say that nothing was done. On that note, I think we would then adjourn until a further date is communicated to this members. Thank you, honorable members. Are there any announcements? Before we take announcements, can we afford the MEC an opportunity to also come in?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to the Honorable Speaker, honorable members, and also to the leaders of federations that are here. We really accept the recommendation recommendations that are made in this meeting. And also I will take the message to the leader of government business as well as to the Premier, because here today I'm representing the Premier. So I will report back to her about the concerns that laid here in this meeting. Those of late submission will be taken back to the executive to correct that. But as the executive, we were ready to present the report. I think the crucial point here is that the federations received the report today when they were supposed to receive the report prior to the meeting, a day before or 2 days before, so that they can take a look, so that when they come here for engagements, then they are ready, they are empowered, because really reading today and being prepared for the meeting, it's two different things. So I'm taking what the speaker has said here today, that we reschedule the meeting for another date. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, you can come in.
No. Thanks once again, Chairperson. We are of the view, Chairperson, that there is one presentation that you might be forgetting to interrogate. The proposal that if yourselves are ready, it will assist all of us to have you run over the report, make emphasis where you want us to make strong notes, so that we are all empowered. Not unless you are also of the view that you may not have been ready for yourselves, but we were ready to optimize this time to have you read your reports for us to note and take it back, Chairperson.
Thanks. Thank you very much for that. I think we can use this opportunity to present, starting with the responses that are coming from the Office of the Premier. It is this report that is within the package. I'll start with this one. From the Office of the Premier. I'm sure you've got it. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm standing here on behalf of the Office of the Premier to appraise the meeting on the responses from the submissions that have been made by the Office of the Premier on the Select Committee on Women, Children, Youth and People with Disability, Public Participation, petition members' legislative proposals on workers and Parliament held on the 2nd and 3rd of June 2022 here in the legislature. The first recommendation by the sitting was that the Office of the Premier should ensure that in sources offer services such as cleaning, which is always raised by the Federation, especially COSATU, that cleaning services, security maintenance, with the intention of creating decent work and minimizing the chances of corruption. And we want to respond and take you on the progress that has been made up to so far. That the Office of the Premier is investigating the feasibility of insourcing the cleaning, security and maintenance services. The second one was that the Office of the Premier should ensure that government employees are equipped with relevant skills in order to create a capable and ethical provincial government. And the progress up to so far is that the office continues to offer training opportunities to these employees. The third one is that the Office of the Premier must ensure that government moves with speed towards the fourth industrial revolution. And as you all know, that connectivity forms the backbone of the fourth industrial revolution. As a province, we are currently involved in the South African Connect Broadband project. The project aims to connect all government facilities and communities with a high-speed broadband. And this project is being rolled out by the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, the state IT agency, and the broadband Infraco. I'll just move, and also that the province has identified schools, clinics, and Tusong service centers of the placement of community Wi-Fi hotspots. Further to this, the Office of the Premier is currently developing a provincial digital transformation strategy to meet the needs of the fourth industrial revolution. And the next one was that the Office of the Premier should ensure that the required of experience on entry post is done away with within all departments. And we want to report that in an effort to alleviate high level of unemployment among South African youth in general and in Mpumalanga in particular, as well as the promotion of skills development and empowerment and the new recruits in the service, the Office of the Premier is strictly monitoring compliance to the implementation of the directive on the application of minimum requirements for appointment in entry-level posts as issued by the Minister of Public Service Administration. I know that it has been a nerve in the Federation, and as the Office of the Premier will continue to look at how best that can be implemented so that our youth, especially those that did not work before, they can be able to be appointed. And all these issues be removed, all these barriers be removed so that our children can find employment. And the next one should be government should come up with power generation alternatives in order to avert load shedding. We welcome that as government, the national government is leading the response strategy to the energy crisis or shortages, which continuously lead to load shedding. To this extent, the national government continues to pursue a diversified energy mix that reduces reliance on a single or a few primary energy resources. To this extent, the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has developed an integrated resource plan that proposes the different forms of alternative energy resources or other than coal going into the future. Firstly, the national government reaffirms the fact that our province, especially us here in Mpumalanga and South Africa, we still have, we still take coal as an important role, and even for the future, we don't see us as a province or the country getting rid of coal. I'm sure you will agree with us as the federations. We see it as playing a significant role today and in the future. So with regard to the nuclear power, the Koeberg power station will be redesigned and small nuclear units will be added as they will be able to be manageable. And again, the exploration or to assess the magnitude of coal recoverable shale and coastal gas are being pursued and need to be accelerated. And lastly, hydrogen as another alternative source. South Africa's rivers carry potential for non-off-river hydro projects. When coming to load shedding in particular, several actions have been taken already by the President to address the electricity supply shortage. You will know that he has appointed an electricity manager, a minister as an intervention. An energy action plan has been approved by Cabinet with a number of actions that need to be implemented as a matter of urgency. And the last part, 3, we also need to ensure the implementation of this plan. The President has appointed a minister, I've already said about that. And lastly, the national government is rolling out the accelerated coal transition investment plan that seeks to transition 4 coal-fired power plants into renewable energy by 2030. The next one was that the Office of the Premier should ensure that all government departments procure local produced goods. And this has been the cry of all the federations that are here. And as the Office of the Premier, it will ensure that through relevant structures, all departments do procure locally produced goods. That was the report from the Office of the Premier. Then with the other one, the big one, I will just go just to highlight. I'll start with the Department of Social Development. There was a concern about contract appointments that were made there, especially in the expanded public works program and the internship. So what we want to report today is that the department has appointed this category of contract employees solely based on the conditions set out by the grant. They actually provide a variety of services such as cleaning, maintenance, and assist our departments to implement certain projects that benefit communities as groups or project designs by the NPOs and needing assistance so that it is really not based on any other thing. The next one is the internship. We want also to report here that the department is also participating in the internship program wherein candidates are provided with an opportunity to gain practical experience, and the department is also following the provision as guided and also following the determination of the internship projects. Then the next one is the appointment of contract or temporary social workers. We want to report that during COVID, 18 social workers were appointed, especially to deal with gender-based violence. However, this category of employees was later, I think this one will make you happy, that they were permanently appointed, although they were appointed at that time during COVID to assist, because when people were staying at home, were locked at home, there was too much violence. Then government had to intervene and employ these 18 social workers. Later again in 2020, the department was granted an opportunity to appoint 128 social workers. These ones were appointed from the list of bursary holders, because what we had as in Mpumalanga was that for a certain time when there were no appointments, social workers, even those that completed their studies, they were not appointed. So in 2020 then those social workers were appointed. Because here, I think even in cabinet we mentioned that they had to be appointed because they were not accepted in other provinces except in Mpumalanga, where they got the bursary. To that extent, the department was granted 8 million to appoint those social workers on a contract basis of 4 months. They started in December 2021 to March 2022. And also we must report that the government is looking at other ways of funding to make sure that they are reappointed on a permanent base. Furthermore, it must be noted that they were not appointed against any vacant funded posts. However, they were appointed significantly. There were no posts that were there at that time, but because of COVID, they were supposed to deal with COVID, so they were appointed. But then we are looking at other avenues and funding to make sure that they are appointed on a permanent base. I think the department is busy with a feasibility study that they will present to cabinet looking at the budget. Then the other one was the early childhood development contract employees, which are also on a grant, on a conditional grant. This category of employees that were appointed based on the condition stated on the grant, their appointment was solely to assist with the monitoring and evaluation of the construction of ECD centers. They were appointed on this project based on the fact that once the grant is exhausted, then the contract will cease. You will know how grants are being used. That is the report from DSD. Now we'll go to agriculture. On agriculture, the provincial government should promote and support tourism and agriculture in order to create much needed jobs. And we want to say, as a department as a government, the department has a number of programs through which it is promoting agriculture in the province. Programs such as Phezukomkhono Mlimi, Masibuyele Esibayeni, and infrastructure development. And the department also intensified the Phezukomkhono Mlimi through greening of Mpumalanga initiative. Through this initiative, the department is developing commodity corridors based on the comparative advantage of a region or district. In Khatisbande, the main focus of this program will be on vegetable and deciduous fruits. In Kangala, focus will be on grains such as maize, soya, and sunflower. And in Ehlanzeni, the program is focusing on fruits such as citrus, nuts, tree, and subtropical. And the next one was that the Department of Agriculture should ensure that people that benefit from land restitution programs are supported. And we want to say, as a province, we've been able to support 458 CPAs that are established on this program. The majority of these CPAs are having land that is laying fallow. And the department has embarked on a process of getting interested investors and participating funding institutions to come on board and help these CPAs to bring their land into optimum production. But you will also understand that these CPAs are fighting amongst themselves, which also contribute to this land not being used. Then the next one, the department must ensure a speedy completion of fresh produce market, which is also a concern, especially to COSATU, that this project is not completed in time. Not COSATU alone, I think all federations, but COSATU has raised this matter time and again. The department notes that the resolution will like to indicate that the infrastructure development of the Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport will look at this matter and to make sure that this project is completed, because when it is completed, it will generate work for our people in Mpumalanga. The role of the department is to link farmers to the MIFPM. The process of identifying farmers that will supply this institution is in progress, and engagements with strategic partners that will contribute towards providing post-settlement support for the farmers to thrive in ongoing. The next one, government should more learnership and internship opportunities in order to improve the skills base of the province. The response is as reflected there, that the department has a total of 1,297 placements on the developmental programs distributed as follows. I won't go there. You will look at it at your spare time. Then the last one on agriculture is that government should come up with power generation alternatives in order to do away with load shedding. As we reported earlier, that the government has developed interventions in terms of the Mpumalanga Province Vision 2030 Provincial Special Development Framework 2019. The Mpumalanga Economic Growth and Development Path, the Industrial Development Plan, the Green Economy Development Plan, as well as the local municipality integrated development plans that seek to guide the smooth transition from the current source of energy to renewable energy as alternatives. I think then you will have to read on your own as you are coming back, just to complete that report from agriculture. Then there was only one thing concern from, I'm getting in now to public works, roads and transport. The finding from the sitting was that in the province is not producing enough competent and qualified personnel to drive the agenda of economic growth. Unemployment of graduate is at an alarming rate. The resolution by Public Works was that the department must ensure that employees in the EPWP are paid the minimum wage. The progress up to date is that the EPWP and CWP participants are paid in line with the ministerial determination by the Department of Employment and Labor for EPWP implementation. So that was the only thing from Public Works. Then we will go to the next. I think the Gazette there has been included for you to look at the guidelines for that grant. Then the next one is the Department of Education. In the Department of Education was that the Department of Education should ensure that the education system responds to the needs of the economy. And the department responded as follows. The Department of Education is reviewing the current curriculum with a view to introduce a competent-based curriculum from 2025 to respond to the needs of the economy as seen from the lens of the 21st century skills and future jobs that do not currently exist. In the meantime, the department is introducing the new subjects such as coding and roboting to align to the fourth industrial revolution and maritime studies to support the ocean economy. The next one is that the department is also introducing a three-stream model where the first stream is the current dominant academic stream that prepares learners more for university education. And the second stream is a technical vocational stream, which is about vocational skills, preparing learners for world of work and University of Technology education. This stream offering 7 specialization technical skills, a subject of choice in technical schools at the level of grade 10 to 12. The department has also introduced technical mathematics and technical sciences as options to pure mathematics and physical sciences to support uptake of learners in these streams. The third stream is the occupational vocational stream, which introduces light technical schools such as hair and nail beauty, office administration, painting, etc., from as an early grade of as early as grade 8 in schools of skills, special schools, and ordinary public secondary schools. To this effect, the department introducing the general education certificate at level of grade 9 to give effect to the occupational stream, where learners may choose to exist the schools at grade 9 with the general education certificate, although we're not going to promote that as a government, because we want our children to finish matric so that they can go to universities. But it must be there so that those that are dropping out at grade 9, they can be accommodated. And the last one from the Department of Education was that it also seeks to use focus schools as schools aligned to industrial economic zones to further support economic development in collaboration with local industries. That's the last one from education. Now we go to the economic development and tourism. This one is a long one. I think I will just read a few, then I will ask members here to look at this report at their spare time. The first one was that the Department of Economic Development and Tourism should ensure proper regulation on the scrap metal business. You know scrap metal business. Scrap yards and what those collections. So the response from the department is that the regulation of the scrap metal business is the national competency under the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition and the International Trade Administration Commission, amongst others. Despite this, the department continues to liaise with the DTIC to seek guidance and further consult municipalities to assist them on formulating strategies and legislation to curb this challenge. And another one is that the Department of Economic Development and Tourism must develop a regulatory framework aimed at promoting the township economy and protecting it from foreigners. This will include setting up thresholds for non-citizens who want to do business in the townships. So the department responded as followed, that it is currently working towards reviewing the existing legislation, in particular the Mpumalanga Business Act 2 of 19, to ensure inclusion and promotion of township economy. The department is in consultation with municipalities, and it is also currently assisting municipalities to review their bylaws, because scrap metals are happening in municipalities. So municipalities must look at their bylaws and update them, including crafting the provincial informal sector policy. Then I think, okay, the next one is that the Department of Economic Development, yes, I think the Department of Economic Development and Tourism must regulate township economy in order to ensure that local benefits. You will look at that report. It's a long report, and I think most of your interest are in these responses. So I won't be able to read all of them to you, but I just wanted to guide you on how you can look at that. I will just go now to the next. I will now go to the next department, which is human settlement. It doesn't have my responses, Lamani. I'll just read it. It's just one response. The Department of Human Settlement must ensure that land is secure and made available to government employees for residential purposes, especially those who don't qualify for low-cost houses and or housing loans with banks. And this is the response of the department, that in line with the recommendations of the Select Committee, shared its research report titled Report on Policy Limitation Affecting the Delivery of Sustainable Housing Opportunities for the Gap Market with the National Department of Human Settlement, and in the process providing the transferring authority with baseline information and challenges affecting the delivery of housing opportunities for the Gap Market. Following deliberations of submissions received from all provinces, the technical MINMEC and MINMEC respectively in the financial year 2022-23 resolved to recommend to adopt the following. You will look at all those policy amendments that have been made by the department. Then I think the human settlement is the last department, but they also included for your perusal the policy limitation document that you need to go through. Madam Speaker, thank you very much just for allowing us as government just to highlight the report that is before us to be presented in this forum. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable MEC, for taking us through all the reports. I think we have noted as a committee for our officials to perhaps communicate with the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. The signature of the Executive Authority needs to be attached to that report if we have to properly deliberate on the content. Let me open the floor if that report has incited any more further discussions that might be needed from this House. Yes, you can come in.
Thank you, Chair, for the presentation. As has been noted from the discussion that we had, that this report will be for noting for now. Then we'll come back with the response, where we'll be able to give you our response as well, so that when we reconvene, all of us in the same page will be able to discuss it. But the presentation, Chair, seems to be using a strategy that was employed in 1966 called divide and rule. I like to believe these responses or the document was talking about the Workers' Parliament, not a specific federations in here. We own this document as our document of resolution that has been taken as Workers' Parliament. Thank you very much.
Are there any other inputs? Okay. No, I think we can agree on those reports. We agree that the Federation, the CCMA and Department of Labour would take those reports that have been presented back to their respective communities, and we will then wait for a date from the Office of the Speaker for a feedback session. That brings us to the next item, which is a vote of thanks. Yeah, no, that brings us to the next item of the vote of thanks. Like I've said previously, we must apologize for the sitting that we are in. It's not a situation that was self-created. As a select committee, we rely on reports being given to us by the executives on time, so that we can also deliberate on it. However, we would, through the Office of the Speaker, also communicate the next feedback session. And we hope that these reports can be taken to your respective communities and come back during the feedback session so that we can find a way forward. We understand that in the feedback session, we would have to have the necessary officials as well as people in authority who can take decisions, so that we don't be seated with the same situation that we are here today. I want to thank all our leaders in their respective rights for attending today, as well as the CCMA and the Department of Labour. And hopefully on our next engagement, we will have more fruitful deliberations. MEC, you want to come in on announcements?
Thank you very much, Chair. May I take this opportunity to apologize on behalf of one of my colleagues who did not append the signature, and to promise you that was not an undermining factor, but I think it was just an oversight, and we'll make sure that when you come again, we'll make sure that she signs any document that is sent to the legislature and to this platform, so that she can own up to the report sent. And to say, as government, we value all the federations that are here. We are not dividing. It's just that sometimes we will quote something that has been engaged by one federation. But I know that this is a collective report and responses that are going to all the federations. Thank you.
No, thank- Thank you, MEC. We note the absence of the signature of the MEC for Economic Development and Tourism. However, we would request that going in future, such documents and such reports be given to this select committee in time. Can we then also inform the House that there is lunch that will be served? And let me also attend to closure. I think I've already done it. Let us hope that the next engagement will be a meaningful deliberation. I think communication will be sent out through the Office of the Speaker. Thank you. Thank you so much for the attendance. The meeting stands adjourned.